Communicating the message. Nutrition educators use educational materials or instructional media to communicate, teach, and reinforce information presented in counseling and educational sessions. Clients need to understand health information so they can apply it to their everyday lives. So, what then is communication? Communication is the process of using messages to generate meaning. The message can be verbal or nonverbal. When we look at the communication model, there are three distinct components: the sender, the message, the channels through which the messages are communicated, and the receivers or the target audience. The sender, and yes, that is you. As a nutrition educator, you are the sender of the message, and people are interested in whether or not you're competent, trustworthy, or credible. When we talk about competence, it refers to having the skill, knowledge, and judgment relevant to the issue or topic. Credibility can be extrinsic and intrinsic. How you are perceived by virtue of your qualifications, experience, and job title, etc., extrinsic, whereas intrinsic is the message you project and how well you deliver the message. We need to make sure that the audience know that you're qualified to lead. So spend a few minutes highlighting your qualifications. Use an authoritative but friendly tone rather than being hesitant and flustered. And dress in an attractive, professional manner. Trustworthiness is very important. It refers to how you come across as being culturally competent, with no biases, ulterior motives, or hidden agenda. You should always inform the audience of any potential conflict of interest, such as the information: are you selling a book? Are you getting funding for your research study? Things like that. Just go ahead, declare your conflict of interest, and be as transparent as possible. Now let's talk about the message. The content of the message should be accurate, it should be current, and updated. Now remember that nutrition information changes often because recommendations are based on ongoing scientific evidence. So as much as possible, update it. It also should convey exactly what you're trying to say. Again, remember that nutrition guidelines and standards are updated regularly, and they are updated so that sometimes you need to challenge previously held scientific knowledge with new research. And visual communication is also important when you are developing written materials, or if you are doing PowerPoint presentation, if you're doing videos. So use high quality photos, images, and illustration, and make sure that the images support the content of the message as well as the people for whom the message is intended. When developing the message, consider what you want to say and how you want to say it, your tone of voice, posture, and mannerism, the audience's education, literacy level, income, lifestyle, etc., the relevance and cultural appropriateness of the message, as well as the accuracy and complexity of the message. Take all of these into consideration before you develop the message, but sometimes you may need to adjust the message along the way. The communication channel or the medium. The channel or medium refers to the way your message will be delivered to the audience. And nutrition educators use different type of medium. They can work interpersonal or face-to-face. Messages can be delivered via mass media, social media, blogs and websites, and also even nutrition education videos, which are becoming popular. Receiver or the audience. It is important to identify the characteristic of the audience. In a simplest form, it can be a matter of knowing who will be attending your presentation, workshop, or session. On a more sophisticated level, it can be done through a process of assessment of audience interests, needs, and characteristics, sometimes called formative research or marketing research. The bottom line, always know your target audience. Characteristics of the audience affect how they receive the audience characteristics affect how the receiver may view, understand, and react to the message. So look at the demographic characteristics, the age, health literacy level, income, race, ethnicity, sex, gender identity, marital status, occupation, geographic location, etc. The health status. Are these people who are relatively well, or you're speaking to a target group that have already been diagnosed with a health issue? What is the motivation for coming? You really want to speak to that motivation and keep the energy high so that the audience can feel motivated and engaged. Also consider the learning style of the audience. So vary your presentation style so that as many people can be included. Knowing your audience will also determine your marketing or advertising plan. What incentives you'll be used, refreshments to be served, and location for the session. Now, I want to emphasize here the importance of childcare needs. More than likely, your target group will sometimes be predominantly women. Remember, women are primarily responsible for taking care of children, elders. They are influencers for a lot of people, and you should anticipate childcare needs and, as much as possible, have an alternative. Because if you do not offer childcare, then your audience may be very limited. Strategies for success. Establish rapport. Take advantage of technology. Add little video clips. Show social media posts. Even do things like polls. So take advantage of the technology that is available and that your audience use. Assess the client's learning style as much as possible. Sometimes, because we do not have a lot of time in a session, it may not always be possible for you to do a detailed assessment, but that is the reason why you anticipate the audience ahead of time and you make sure that your message is clear and on point and you're using the right media. Always use a variety of teaching tools that may include demonstrations, things that are hands-on, teaching aids. A lot of people learn visually. They want to see. So touching things, showing them the finished product, and sometimes even using things like, storytelling and testimonials will work. Consider the client's strengths and weaknesses. So if you're talking about physical activity to a primarily elderly population, make sure that you talk about things like exercises that they can do sitting or in the pool or in a wheelchair, so they know how to apply the information that you are presenting. Include family members as much as possible. Again, whether or not that includes the wife or girlfriend of a male client, the parents, the caretakers of someone who's elderly. Remember also, you should take care of things like the reading level, the literacy level, if you're going to give handouts after the session is over. Always leave time for question and answers. Sometimes you can throw things out to the audience. Sometimes people don't know they have questions yet, but when you plant a seed, they may respond, and then that may get the conversation going.